Hey guys, Rachel West here along with Rick Stroud and Joey Knight, here to talk about that amazing Bucs game Sunday against the Washington football team. I feel like I could ask you guys a million and one questions, but we'll start at the beginning of the game, Rick. Right out of the gates, Tom Brady took a pretty big shot. How did that affect things moving forward throughout the rest of the game?
Yeah, Rachel, on the first third down, he threw the ball outside to Tyler Johnson, and he was whacked as hard as I've seen him hit, maybe in 2 years, by Jonathan Allen, the defensive tackle. Ali Marpet got completely whipped on the play, and that absolutely had an impact on the game. And when you talked to Bruce Arians on Monday, and he said, look, our quarterback stands back there. If he's going to get hit hard, we're going to get beat inside like that. You can't blame him for getting the ball out of his hands. And I think he spent predominantly the rest of the game, because they were in a soft cover 2 shell, checking the ball down to Leonard Fournette, who had 9 targets and 8 catches. So, he has said before, in fact, it was this year that he told us, I would rather lose a football game than to put myself in harm's way and get hurt and be out for the year. Something he learned when he tore his ACL, I think back in whatever it was, 08. So Tom Brady was not having it after that hit by Jonathan Allen, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And Joey, this is now second time against Washington with Taylor Heinicke at the helm, where the Bucs have struggled a fair amount. What is it about him being back there that just causes them some trouble?
If he could play the Bucs every game, he'd be headed to Canton. Rachel, he's an incredible story. He was trying to finish his engineering degree at Old Dominion this time last year. He was signed to the Washington football team's practice squad late in the year, ended up being thrust into a starting role in that wild card game last January in Landover when Alex Smith couldn't go at the last minute. Had a great game against the Bucs, showed a lot of moxie and mobility. He gave the Bucs a bigger problem in the playoffs than Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and certainly Drew Brees. He was their biggest headache. Just couldn't pull off a win. Well, yesterday he did. He was 26 for 32, 256 yards. He got sacked 5 times, but he still showed enough mobility to make some plays with his feet. And as Rick alluded to, on third down, Washington was incredible. Converted almost 60% of their third downs. I thought Taylor said something interesting. People were saying the Bucs have an advantage this time around because they have film on Taylor Heinicke. Well, Taylor said, I've got a lot of film on them. They're basically the same team I saw in the wild card game, so he could study them just as effectively. And he was a quick study yet again.
Yeah, I think he probably did pretty well in school if that was carry over his study habits. Taylor Heinicke wasn't the only problem that the Bucs had going on. Rick, they just were not able to get off the field. What was the breakdown there?
Yeah, well, especially that last drive, right? I've never seen a team hold the ball for almost 11 minutes, 19 plays, which is the longest drive of the year in the NFL. And, twice really the Bucs got back in the game only to give up scores, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown there at the end of the game. And, you focus on all the third down conversions, and there was 4 of them in the last drive. There was 1 fourth down conversion, but really it's what happened on first and second down. They were able to get positive yards, stay ahead of the sticks. It was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3. Those are certainly a lot easier to convert. And so, whether it was Heineke extending plays, them not, being able to corral the running back, on first down, whatever they seemed to dial up, it worked early in that series. And, the guy that played so well, I thought the inside linebackers both played well, but Bruce Arians will tell you they did not play with the fire and the passion that they needed to. One guy did, Devin White, who had 18 tackles, 2 sacks. He was all over the place. I think a bunch of tackles for losses, but no one else could really match that, and that was the problem.
Right. And Joey, yet another week and some more injuries yet again in another game. Vita Vea and Richard Sherman this time around. Can they withstand all of this that's going on here?
Well, not at the cornerback position, certainly anymore. Richard Sherman suffered a calf strain right before kickoff. So they couldn't even put him on the inactive list. They basically were down a player because he got hurt right before kickoff after all the inactives were released. Bruce Arians was not optimistic that we'll see Richard Sherman anytime soon. He's going to have an MRI, and he said he looked great in practice earlier in the week, had a great Thursday and Friday, thought he was going to have a heck of a game, and then this injury. I think it's pretty clear that Richard Sherman, who was signed very late in September and turned right around and tried to play 3 games in 12 days, just isn't ready to play physically. He tweaked that hamstring early on against the Eagles, and he hasn't played since. And now this, God bless him, he's just not ready to play. He tried to do too much too soon. So I don't know how far that's going to set him back. On the good side, we've got Grimm and we've got Vita Vea, who suffered that knee injury on Washington's winning touchdown run yesterday. He just has a bone bruise, maybe a mild MCL sprain, so that's really good news. There is a chance, it's conceivable, he can play in the Monday night game next week against the Giants. They'll wait and see. The Bucs don't hit the practice field again until Wednesday, but it doesn't sound like he's going to miss a heck of a lot of time. So that's really the good news coming out of this post-mortem from that loss.
Exactly. And they've got a few guys that, we might see coming up here shortly as well. So hopefully they start to turn things around on the injury front there. Everyone, make sure you're keeping up with all of our Bucs coverage we've got for you over on social media at Sports by Tampa Bay Times, as well as over at tampabay.com.